This is the new Range Rover Evoque, on sale in spring and ready to fend off rivals such as a Volvo XC40 and Audi Q3. It looks quite similar to the old one, something we call evolutionary design, but there's actually a lot new about this car. Before we get started on the details, we've got loads more Land Rover videos on our YouTube channel, so click below to subscribe and you won't miss one. So, back to the car. It might look similar, but actually every panel is different to the old car. There's slimmer LED headlamps and there's wraparound side and tail lamps, and every single panel on this car is new.
It sits on a new platform called Premium Transverse Architecture, which has been designed to house various electrified powertrains across both Jaguar and Land Rovers with transverse engines. Land Rover says the body is 13% stiffer than the current car, meaning improved refinement and handling. Because the Evoque is so popular for people travelling into cities, it gets the same 4.37 metre length as before, but this car has a 20mm longer wheelbase to create more legroom in the back. Before, rear space was criticised, so this addresses that, even if it's still not class leading. The new Evoque's McPherson strut front suspension now gets fluid-filled hydro bushes for better road isolation. At the rear, it adopts the Velar's new integral link setup, which separates lateral and longitudinal forces for improved refinement, but also saves space compared to the previous system, giving the Mark II version bigger, wider boot space.
So what's under here? For now, all Evoques are powered by diesel or petrol 2-litre Ingenium engines. Almost all are four-wheel drive except the D150 entry-level diesel, that's got 148 brake horsepower. At the other end of the spectrum, we've got the P300, that's a 296 brake horsepower petrol all-wheel drive. Decent performance on all. The D150 does 0 to 60 in 9.9 seconds, while the P300 does it in 6.3 seconds. Apart from that entry-level D150, all Evoques now get a 48-volt mild hybrid, which is a first for Land Rover.
From launch, all Evoques get a belt-driven integrated starter generator that collects energy as the car decelerates, storing it in a battery before deploying it when the car starts or accelerates. Land Rover reckons the system adds up to 6% efficiency and helps make the most frugal four-wheel drive Evoque emit only 149 grams per kilometre of CO2, delivering 50.4 mpg on the new WLTP test cycle. Now, I don't reckon many Evoques are used for serious off-roading, but still, Land Rover wants to make sure you can do it if you want. Terrain Response 2 gets all the latest adaptive stability and traction keeping gizmos, plus the car can now wade through 600mm of water, 100mm more than the first gen car. A year after the car launches, you'll also be able to get hold of a plug-in hybrid Evoque using a new 3-cylinder petrol engine, and we hope we'll get an electric-only range pushing 50 miles so it can keep up with its German rivals.
So, inside the car. What's most important here is that it's far more luxurious than the previous gen car. It looks a lot like the more expensive Velar that was revealed last year. These are leather seats, but there's actually a more sustainable option called Kvadrat, which is a wool textile. Other things to know, we've got this big screen up here where you can control the infotainment and the sat-nav. This lower screen here is for things like ventilation. And there's also the instrument panel here, which has a load of different designs that you can control digitally. There's also a 4G Wi-Fi hotspot, there's 6 USB ports, there's loads of pockets of practicality, and you can also download a lot of apps. For example, you can unlock the car remotely or check the fuel levels.
There's also a bit of fancy tech called Clear Sight Ground View, which Land Rover reckons is a world first. Cameras in the front grille and on the door mirrors feed into the touchscreen to show what is ahead and underneath the front of the vehicle. The idea is that you can still see what's going on, whether you're off-roading or trying to park next to a high curb in town. Land Rover has kept the Evoque at a similar price to the outgoing model, starting at £31,600 and rising to £40,350 for the P300.
So that's the highlights of the new Evoque. We'll be driving the car soon enough, so click below to subscribe to our Autocar channel to find out our first impressions behind the wheel.